Right, let's get to the Emirates. Arsenal at home to Liverpool. Liverpool are still within reach of a top four finish, even though, of course, they've conceded the title. And they were much better in the first half, although goalkeepers were relatively quiet. But Liverpool pretty dominant. And on 62 minutes, Jota, a bullet header from an Arnold cross, what a peach of a cross it was, opened the scoring for Liverpool. 5 minutes later, Salah wriggled inside the box and he managed to get his foot to the ball, prodded it through the legs of Leno. That was 2-0. The Gunners, we'd seen nothing from them, and there was a really poor response as well. 81 minutes, Jota fired home. Again, good work from Salah and Mane. Full-time score at the Emirates, rather pathetic looking. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 3. Arteta didn't mince his words either, but that's become a regular occurrence this season. He's really not satisfied with the level of performance from these Gunners. Klopp, of course, full of praises, particularly for Alexander Arnold, who of course has been ignored by Southgate for the England job. But when it comes to crosses into the danger area, he's the best in the business. We're back, it's match day 30, Barclays Premier League, and I've now reverted back to my previous format of making this an audio podcast. It's so I can deliver it to you quicker. The file will be smaller, there will be no pictures as such, and it's better that you can listen to it in the car. If you want to see the action, then it's very easy now. You can just go to the website of your particular team and it will have highlights up on video on YouTube, probably within a couple of hours. So this is just for those who aren't going to access the highlights on video. Okay, we're going to get started with Chelsea against West Bromwich Albion, returning after the international break. Of course, on paper this looked like an easy walk in the park for Chelsea. Chelsea pressing for that top four finish. West Bromwich Albion second from bottom, almost doomed really. And the beginning of the match, I'm not going to go into too much detail. 27 minutes, a long range effort from Alonso for a free kick, and the goalkeeper got a slight touch to it, Johnson, and pushed it onto the post, but backing up quickly from the rebound was Pulisic, and he put it in the net. 1-0 to Chelsea. They looked just about good for it as well. They had all the possession. But 28 minutes, a second yellow card for Thiago Silva, a reckless challenge to be honest, and he was given his marching orders, and that signified this game changing radically away from Chelsea. And but in the interim, we had West Bromwich had to replace two defenders with injuries. Maguire was the first, and then his replacement, Ivanovic, had to go off with hamstring problem. But they sort of remained compact, and on 45 minutes, Pereira lifted the ball over Mendy from a great through ball from Phillips, 1-1. 2 minutes later, and Phillips had hit the bar, and then 4 minutes into added time, Pereira, cool finish, placed in the corner after some dreadful indecision in Chelsea's box by their defenders. And so all of a sudden West Brom were 2-1 up, and that was the half-time break. 53 minutes, Alonso had a shot which was deflected onto the post. And then 62 minutes, Robertson had come on. his neat connection on the volley from across hits the roof of the net, and all of a sudden Albion are in Nirvana land, 3-1 up. Great build up to that goal, it has to be said. And we haven't seen this all season from the Baggies. 67 minutes, they went through again. Great passing movement, great counter-attacking football, and Diania slotted it home for 4-1. And we were all wondering what team were we watching. It just became quite remarkable. Werner got one back on 70 minutes and gave Chelsea a ray of hope, but that was extinguished with Robinson's second on 91 minutes. Wide of Mendy, clipped it, and we reached the final whistle. And the interviews has to be said that the Chelsea manager was pretty realistic about it all. He didn't describe it as a blip. He described it, as Tuchel that is, as pretty shoddy performance by his team, particularly in defence. Allardyce, of course, was absolutely exuberant about it. Whether this will be enough to catapult them to an amazing escape act, I doubt it. But still, they can't do any better than this. Final score at Stamford Bridge: Chelsea 2, West Bromwich Albion 5. Let's move on to the other Saturday games. First of all, Leeds United at home to Sheffield United. This is a Yorkshire derby, but perhaps not so much on this now that the Blades are virtually doomed. 11 minutes, Rafinha got to the byline and found Harrison in the box, and that was 1-0 to Leeds. An equaliser from Burnley following a deflected shot to Osborne. Osborne got the final touch, and that was the equaliser. 1-1 at the break. Then into the second half, though, Harrison's cross hit Jagielka and went in the net, and so Leeds back in front, and that's how it finished. Final score: Leeds 2, Sheffield United 1. Fourth game then on Saturday was at the King Power Stadium. Leicester third, playing top of the table Manchester City, and to be perfectly honest, it was a pretty straightforward win again for City. Leicester fought hard, but they really didn't at any stage really trouble the defence, the Manchester City defence. 4 minutes, Fernandinho from distance let fly, and it deflects past Schmeichel, and then we got Aguero involved. Yes, it deflected past Schmeichel, I got it, into the net, but Aguero was actually in the firing line, and it was deemed that he had affected Schmeichel's ability to see the ball, so it was chalked off. 22 minutes, De Bruyne, the man of the match here, once again, a terrific free kick, hits the bar. And as I say, they dominated play, but their finishing was just a trifle off and got to the break goalless. Vardy on the first half whistle virtually did get the ball in the net, but he was way offside. 58 minutes, finally Mendy, a rare start for him, managed to steer the ball wide of Schmeichel after a clearance from an attack not good enough. 1-0 to City, and then 73 minutes Jesus managed to get in the act, and this followed some good work by Sterling in the build-up, and of course De Bruyne got things moving. So final score then at the Emirates, at the King Power Station, King Power Stadium. Leicester 0, Manchester City 2. Leicester weren't that bad, but they're just in a different league to this. But they still probably look favourites to qualify for the Champions League. Last game on Sunday was at Old Trafford. Manchester United against Brighton. It has to be said that recent games between these two have been tight. United have had the edge, but they've never run away with it. And Cavani was up front. Martial's out following his knock for France. Fred and Pogba in midfield, McTominay on the bench, and James on the bench as well, with Mason Greenwood up front, with Rashford just behind Cavani, and of course Fernandes. Henderson still in go for the Reds. That's 7 now on the trot. I think this could see the end for Dyer. I can't see him getting back in really with the number of mistakes he's made. And I'm certain that he'll be on his way at the end of the season. 12 minutes though. Henderson, again the defence went missing. Henderson had to push away a Welbeck header from close range, but Welbeck, good anticipation, got to Henderson's push away and headed it in for 1-0. And United struggled really. Brighton looked definitely the better side in that first half. But finally 61 minutes after a bit more possession, Rashford, and he managed to accept a neat pass from Fernandes on the left, and he sort of enabled a little bit of a opportunity to hit the ball with his right foot, and it slid in the corner, and that was 1-1. After that, there only looked like one team that could win this game, and eventually Greenwood on 82 heads home after some great work by Fernandes and a Pogba cross. 2-1 for the Reds, and that's the way it finished. United maintaining their position in second, in fact consolidating it as Leicester had lost, Chelsea have lost, Liverpool of course improved, but Manchester United look almost odds on now to finish in second place. As I say, we've got 2 more matches on Monday: Wolves against West Ham and Everton against Crystal Palace, but that won't affect the top of the table. And it won't do much to the bottom of the table either. Although West Ham could actually creep into 4th. That's my review of the fixtures. Hope you enjoyed the new format, and we'll see you next week. So to St James Park, Newcastle 4th from bottom, of course, against Spurs, who are looking to get into 4th if they won, given Chelsea slipping up. Currently 7th. Very slow start from Spurs, but that we've heard that one before. And Newcastle looking much more aggressive, much more on the front foot. Vilnius did have a half chance on 23, but the keeper managed to cause enough trouble, and it was offside anyway. Up in the stands was Son, still carrying a slight knock, and Dele Alli and Bale. But Harry Kane was there, and Harry Kane is Spurs. And after this rather poor start, he came into it a little later, but on 27 minutes, a dreadful piece of defending at the back by Spurs. They gave the ball away not once, but 2 or 3 times, and eventually the ball was pushed across the box, and Joe Linton was there, and he finished with aplomb, something he hasn't really done a lot this season, but he took the goal excellently, and so Newcastle were 1 up, but they really didn't have much time to enjoy it, because within 90 seconds, a quick attack by Spurs fed Kane, he prodded the ball at goal, and it ricocheted off a defender, and it fell neatly to him again. And on his second effort, he connected, and it crossed the line for 1-1. He wasn't finished. 4 minutes later, a great through ball by Ndombele found Kane. An absolutely sweet finish across Dubravka, and Spurs had gone from a goal down to 2-1 up in a matter of 5 minutes. They stayed in front into the second half, though, as is the case with Tottenham, they seemed to take their foot off the gas, and Newcastle grew in confidence, and it was highly surprising when 5 minutes from time St Maximin had come on as a sub for the Magpies, and he was involved in a cross to the far stick, and the ball was headed back across goal, and Willett, who come on as a sub, he managed to connect and find the goal, and so Newcastle had snatched a point, probably a deserved point as well. And Spurs once again ruined their sort of lacklustre attitude at the back, which again was inferred in the interview with Mourinho. He's really not happy with the group of defenders he's got, and I can see a big clear out in the summer, or Mourinho may be on his way. Final score then at St James Park: Newcastle 2, Spurs 2. So Sunday's games now, and another 4 games. Just to remind you that it's Easter in the UK, so there are a couple of games on Easter Monday to make up the 10. And Southampton, the early kick-off at home to Burnley. And it has to be said, Burnley got off to the much better start, and they were virtually dominating the action. They were outpacing their opponents, who looked very lacklustre in the first 25 minutes. A clumsy challenge from Peters early on, by Walker Peters early on Peters, the Burnley left back, resulted in a penalty being awarded, and Chris Wood stepped up to convert, and that was 1-0. And then a little later, great through ball found Vidra, and his acceleration too good for the defence, and he shot the ball just wide of Forster, and that was 2-0 for Burnley, and they looked really in control of this game. But then Southampton picked things up, and a really sweeping move involving Ings, and he then managed to get the ball to Armstrong just outside the box, and a very sweet strike indeed from Armstrong, whistled past Pope, and that was 2-1 to Burnley. Not long after that, they turned it round, and this was followed a poor error by me, which allowed Ings to get the ball and run into the box. Tarkowski tried to make amends for his partner, but Ings was far too clever, swiveled wide of him, and then he poked the ball wide of Pope, and we were back level 2-2. A remarkable turnaround, but some good football by Southampton, it has to be said. So level at the break then, 2-2. Into the second half, Southampton were really dominating, and it wasn't a surprise when on 66 minutes, another great piece of work by Ings, which worked the goalkeeper, and following the save by Pope, which was a good one, Walcott, back in the side after a long break, managed to quickly feed Redmond on the other side of the box, and Redmond hit the ball on the volley, and it was far too good for Pope, and that was 3-2. And that's how it finished. A pretty decisive response from Southampton. It shows what they're capable of. But Hasenhüttl's got to sort out this defence. They're just a bit slow and a bit ponderous. But final score then, at St Mary's. Southampton 3, Burnley 2. To Villa Park then. Villa at home to Fulham. Still no Jack Grealish. It is rumoured that he'll be back the following week. Saw brief highlights of this. And the first half was pretty competitive. Not a lot of chances. And they went in goalless. On 60 minutes, a dreadful error by Mings let in Mitrovic, who rounded the keeper and slotted it home for a 1-0. On 77 minutes, Trezeguet had come on and he connected from a Mings cross on the edge of the box. It was a sweet strike with his left foot and went past the Fulham keeper to level things. And then Fulham seemed to fall asleep because on 80, Trezeguet again at the far post, and he swept it home after some good work by Davies, a player who's only made a few appearances for Villa. So they were up 2-1, and then 86 minutes, Traore, who'd had a pretty solid game, his cross was tapped home by Watkins, and that was 3-1. A bedraggled Fulham at the end of it. They seemed to fall asleep for 10 minutes and conceded 3 goals. But that, of course, is relegation form. And Parker didn't really need to be reminded of that in interview, although he did acknowledge that you just can't do that in the Premier League. Final score then, Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1.